Okay. Joanne wants me to ask you a question.
Oh, I
Oh,
have
she's
a
got a
microphone
question.
here. Hi, Brian.
Hi,
So
Joanne.
hi. So I don't play drums at all, but Abe's, trying to teach me.
Oh, she does
And
all right, actually.
oh no, well, it's okay if my mom says that, but when it comes from you, that's your people are expecting things. Okay, so because I know that you've gone on many tours with big artists as what did you call yourself, a head drum tech or roadie? What position was that again?
You're asking about my me working on the road with different artists. Is that correct?
Yes, and so I was just wondering, you must have seen, you know, maybe certain parts or things coming loose or breaking, not necessarily pertaining with the Spawn brand, but just for any drummer, if you can give beginner drummers like me any advice, like what is one or two ways to keep your drums maintained, whether it's a certain tool you need to have or a way to not play sloppy, just any kind of advice for the best maintenance, really.
Um, well, probably number one, buy quality equipment. You don't
Yeah.
have to worry about it breaking as much.
Yeah.
Um, if you're in performance situations, you need to be prepared for worst case scenarios, which would be your bass drum pedal breaking. Well, yeah, nobody wants to have to buy two bass drum pedals when you only play one bass drum at a time. But if you're going to
Mm.
perform and you're going to be in even a semi-pro situation and the whole gig will melt down if your bass drum pedal breaks, you need to have a backup bass drum pedal.
Okay.
You need to have a backup snare drum. If your snare drum head breaks in the middle of the song, in the middle of a set, at a paying gig, you better be able to fix that immediately. And the only way to do that is by swapping out a snare drum with the backup that you have ready to go. So those are a couple of two really critical things you need. Cymbals break, but it's not as critical as if your bass drum or your snare drum breaks. If those break, the show's over. So
Mm.
you need to be prepared for that in case it does happen. So I would say that's where you would want to focus your attention first. Backups of other things like cymbals or that sort of thing, other drum heads, tom heads. You can change in between sets. Doesn't matter if your rack tom is broken for a couple songs. It's not gonna end the show.
Mm.
Well,
Got
I
it.
have one more suggestion. I do this for sound, but also like what you're talking about for protection. I always use double ply heads. So I don't ever remember breaking one at a gig. They last longer. When you use a single ply, that's where you have more of a chance of a skin breaking. That's just me, you know.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Uh, I agree with that too, for sure. You definitely want to have more stronger drum heads and good quality drum heads and change your drum heads. I mean, I've
Right.
seen so many
I
drum
know.
kits that looks like
Yeah.
the drum heads have been on the drum set for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
It's like you got to change the drum heads. You don't have to change them every month, but you can tell when the drum head is worn out.
Yep. Yep. And then a lot of these cats use a single ply head and they got it. It's already even warping and they still. Or like, have you ever been to a gig and you do a gig with another band and you see the drummer sticks and they look like I don't know what a gopher got a hold of it and I'm like, dude, you're gonna play with those? They're like, yo, man, they're not broke yet. And I'm like, wow. I'm like so much I either use brand new sticks or sticks that I've barely used, man. Your title when you would do the road gigs with the bands that you would do it, I thought you told me you were the head roadie, right, or head drum tech or something.
I am. I work on the road with different artists. When I work for Babyface, Kenny Babyface Edmonds is a very famous
Oh yeah,
R&B
we
artist.
we
He's
know him, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
younger people may not know him, but
right.
he's
You're
a
right.
super prolific R&B
Yeah.
artist and songwriter for many
Oh yeah.
famous people. You
Sure.
know, worked with Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston and Tony Braxton and Boys to Men.
Oh yeah.
So when I work for Kenny, I am the drum tech on that gig, and that's really my only uh, primary job working for him. So I also work for the pop artist Jason Mraz out on the road, and Jason is a little different situation. He has he has a number of different bands uh, that he'll take out, you know. So it's not always the same. So
Well,
sometimes it's just it's a when it's the full size band, it'll be an entire band. Both it'll be Jason, it'll be drums, bass, keyboards, another guitar, and uh, four girls called the Raining Janes that have their own group that are super talented ladies that play all kinds of different instruments. So that might be a 10-piece band. Sometimes he has like a smaller, just 5-piece band. Sometimes it's just Jason and the girls, the Raining Janes. So depending on the situation, I'll have different roles. When it's the full size band, I'm usually, you know, I'm always the drum tech and the percussion tech, because one of the girls from the Raining Janes plays percussion, and she has a full percussion setup. So I handle all that, and then I might do bass guitar or keyboards as well. If I'm on tour with Jason and it's just Jason and the Raining Janes, I'm usually Jason's guitar tech, and then I also handle Becky from the Raining Janes, her bass guitar situation and the percussion. So it really kind of depends on what gig it is, you know. So I have to be prepared to do any or all of that in order to, you know, be able to pull off the gig.
I was saying, I know your tours are on hold and the whole music business industry is on hold because the obvious reason, the pandemic. Um, what is your personal feelings when things will start opening up, or do you don't have any clue um, yourself?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's been a terrible year for musicians and performers. Um, you know, it's cut so deep. You mean it's crazy. Most people don't know. I mean, just think about Broadway being closed.
wow.
Broadway. I mean, just take Broadway shows alone, shut that down. All the theaters, all the actors, all the people that work behind the scenes of the theater, all the concessions, all the vendors, and then take that and multiply it across like every uh, small club, large club, giant venue. I mean, it's unbelievable that all these people have lost their livelihood, you know, for such a long time. So it's a really, really bad thing, and that anybody that's not in the music industry, I hope will think about how devastating and how deeply it's cut for musicians and actors and performers and people in the entertainment business. But given that, we've got the vaccines are rolling out, seems to be, like that's hopefully the beginning of the solution. I'm cautiously hopeful that those will come through and not get canceled because something new happens with the virus. So in my mind, I'm thinking that this summer that some light version of touring will be back on the table for me and the artists that I work for, etc., and other performers. That's what I'm cautiously hopeful of.
That would be good timing, man. Yeah, this is something nobody saw coming, and it sure has changed the world. Period.
Yep, for sure.